I came home to 3 county trucks blocking my private road, a fire marshal pointing at a brand new steel gate, and a deputy asking a woman in pearls for a permit number she couldn't produce. 10 days earlier. That gate didn't exist. 10 days earlier. This was just my gravel lane. Quiet. Mine. The way it had always been. I'm Evan Mercer. And when I say my road, I don't mean metaphorically. I mean deed, survey, tax receipts, iron pins in the dirt that have been there longer than most of the people now trying to tell me how to live. I'd been out of state on an emergency job. One of those calls you don't say no to. And I drove home late. Tired. Half. Thinking about a shower and sleep. My headlights caught something wrong at the entrance. Metal where there shouldn't be metal. A steel sliding gate stretched across the mouth of my lane, sunk into wet concrete. A camera aimed right at the driver's seat like an accusation. There was a glossy sign bolted on. 2. Cheerful font. Cold message. Maplewood Estates access control. Fees apply. I didn't touch the gate. I didn't test it. I documented. Dashcam stayed rolling. Time, date, GPS. I stepped out and photographed the footers while they were still damp. The conduit disappearing under fresh gravel. The tire tracks. The installer sticker on the motor housing. I made sure my property marker and my no trespassing sign were in the same frame as the gate, because I had a feeling this wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be a paper war. Then I backed out and took my farm lane around. Got home without giving anyone the satisfaction of denying me access. At my kitchen table, under the light that's burned out twice and still flickers. I opened my survey plat and tax receipts for that strip. I scanned the survey, uploaded it, emailed myself a short note with the discovery time and a list of photos. First shot fired in ink. That's how you survive people who like to borrow authority and call it safety. The next morning, my phone rang, caller ID, Maplewood Estates HOA. I answered. This is Evan Mercer. The voice on the other end was smooth, practiced, the kind that smiles while it tightens a knot. Mr. Mercer, this is Marjorie Clean, HOA President. We've implemented controlled access for community safety. There's a modest after-hours fee, I said. Email me the permit number. Email me the document with my signature authorizing construction. She didn't like that. We don't need your signature for a safety measure, she said. Our council reviewed historical use. This route functions as shared access. She hung up like she'd won something. I wrote a recap email to my attorney with the exact time of the call and Marjorie's key sentence, "We don't need your signature," and attached the entrance photos and the motor sticker close up. Dana Price called within an hour. "You're not touching that gate," she said. "We go process first. Preserve evidence. Demand removal. Request county records." By lunch, I had certified mail receipts and PDFs of Dana's notices to the HOA and the contractor. Cease trespass. Remove unauthorized structures. Preserve all logs and communications. Marjorie escalated that evening. At 6:12 p.m., an HOA email hit my inbox titled Temporary Access Management Notice, with a QR code and a payment link. It also included a PDF dressed up with a seal graphic and wording that implied county backing, something called an Emergency Access Directive. I saved the email with full headers and forwarded everything to Dana. Then I called the county administrator's office. "Did you issue an Emergency Access Directive for Maplewood Estates?" The assistant didn't hesitate. "No, sir. Please email that," I said. 5 minutes later, I had the county's written denial. That's when it clicked. Marjorie wasn't just overreaching. She was borrowing authority to frighten me into compliance. The next morning, a tow truck taped a bright orange notice to my entrance post. Lien intent. No stamp, no docket number. Cheap paper meant to rattle a business owner. I filmed it wide and close, then called the county clerk to search my name and parcel. "Nothing recorded," she said. I asked for confirmation in writing and got it 20 minutes later. No recorded lien. No notice. Just theater. Day 4 is when it crossed from annoying to personal. A mini excavator was trenching the road shoulder with 3 workers and fresh orange paint marks. Marjorie wasn't holding a shovel. She stood inside the HOA fence line with a clipboard, pointing where she wanted the trench to go. And the trench didn't stay on their side. It crossed past my survey marker into my parcel because it was easier. I walked to my property line and stopped. I recorded the survey marker in frame while the machine cut into my land, and Marjorie directed the foreman. Then I called the sheriff. "Emergency. I need an incident report for active trespass and unpermitted work. I'm the property owner." Deputy Larkin arrived calm. Professional. "The way you hope they always are." He asked the foreman. "Permit?" The foreman looked at Marjorie. She lifted her chin. "We're authorized." Larkin turned to me. "You the owner?" I handed him my survey and Dana's notice. He gave me an incident number and told the crew to pause until they produced a permit. I recorded him saying it with Marjorie visible behind the fence. That afternoon, Dana's county records request came back with the line that changed everything. Encroachment application for gate installation and electrical trenching. Status: rejected. Reason: missing owner authorization. I printed the permit log with the county portal header visible and saved a screenshot with the URL and timestamp. Dana filed for a temporary restraining order the same day. Exhibits: the rejected permit log, the fake directive, the lien scare paper, my entrance photos, the sheriff incident number. Marjorie answered with spectacle. She announced an on-site safety briefing at the gate. When I arrived, she had an audience, 2 HOA board members, the contractor foreman, and a man in a blazer who introduced himself as HOA counsel. Marjorie spoke loud, like volume could replace paperwork. "We are protecting families," she said, staring straight at me. Some individuals refuse to cooperate with safety standards. I kept my hands behind my back. "Permit number?" I asked the counsel. He smiled thin. "The application is in progress." "It was rejected," I said. "Missing my authorization." Marjorie cut in fast. "That's not final. We're proceeding." I recorded one clean clip, Marjorie stating she would proceed despite rejection, with her board members nodding and the foreman standing silent, and emailed it to Dana. Here's the part I don't brag about, because it's ugly and honest. That night, alone, I sat on the edge of my bed and wondered if I was wrong. I replayed her words, historical use, shared access, like a bad song you can't turn off. I thought about the cost, the time, the way people with letterheads can make your life smaller by inches until you agree just to breathe. I considered paying the stupid fee, letting the gate stand, telling myself it wasn't worth it. I felt tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. I felt small. And then I opened my email and saw the county's rejection in black and white. The words "missing owner authorization." And I remembered that being quiet doesn't make bullies kind. It makes them confident. I wasn't wrong. I was just up against someone who counted on me doubting myself. The judge scheduled a site conference the next morning because Marjorie's whole story depended on emergency access. That's how we ended up with the county on my road. An inspector, a fire marshal, Deputy Larkin, the contractor crew, Marjorie and her board members, and Dana beside me with exhibits stacked neat. Marjorie went first, confident. "This gate is emergency management," she said. "We control it for safety." Inspector Ortega raised a hand. "Permit number." Marjorie looked to counsel. "Pending," he said. Ortega tapped her tablet. "Rejected. Missing owner authorization." "Do you have owner authorization?" Marjorie's smile twitched. "We don't need it. The road is shared by long use." The fire marshal stepped forward. "If you control a gate on a response route, who holds the override?" Marjorie snapped. "We do." Dana stayed level. "Inspector, the gate vendor produced preliminary admin logs under preservation. The HOA admin account changed access settings and tested after hours billing. There's also an entry showing an attempted emergency tag override configuration." Marjorie opened her mouth, ready to argue, then stopped when the contractor foreman murmured, "That's accurate." Ortega didn't argue. She read it out, calm and final. "Stop work order. All work stops, effective immediately. Unpermitted structure. Private property encroachment." Deputy Larkin turned to Marjorie. "Ma'am, who directed trenching past the survey marker?" Marjorie tried to stay tall. "I did." Larkin wrote it down. That was the reversal. She arrived sure she'd win with buzzwords. She lost in real time to a permit status, a log file, and her own words. Stop came first. Ortega handed the foreman the order, watched him sign, and posted it to the contractor file. The gate was dead because the county said so. Clean came next. Dana demanded a written retraction of the lien intent notice and a correction to the HOA membership stating they had no authority over my road. She filed the correction with the county, so it lived in the public record. Pay took longer, but it landed. The judge granted the TRO within 48 hours. No interference with my access. No work on my parcel. Removal of all HOA, installed structures from my property with fee exposure for violations. The contractor cooperated fully and produced emails showing Marjorie directing them to proceed despite rejection. Removal day was quiet, which is exactly how justice looks when it's real. Inspector Ortega returned to observe compliance. Deputy Larkin was there to keep the peace. The contractor brought a flatbed and unbolted the gate sections. I brought my bulldozer, not to crush anything, just to lift heavy steel without damaging the road and move it where the county directed. We guided the gate onto the flatbed. The crew backfilled the trench, compacted it, and laid new gravel to match the original grade. Marjorie watched from behind her fence line, arms folded tight. A week later, the HOA held an emergency board meeting. Marjorie resigned for personal reasons. The board signed a settlement. They paid my attorney's fees, the road restoration costs, and county compliance expenses. They agreed in writing that Marjorie would be barred from serving on the board for a defined term and that any future work near my parcel required written owner consent. It was boring. It was enforceable. It was perfect. 2 evenings after the settlement cleared, I stood at the entrance of my lane with a cup of coffee and watched the sunset turn the gravel copper. The road looked normal again, quiet again, mine again. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt finished. That weekend, I didn't throw a party. I raked the shoulder, set fresh reflectors along the edge, and replaced the battered post they'd used for their paper threats. Dana texted me a photo of the settlement check clearing with a simple line, "Paid in full." I forwarded it to my cloud folder and deleted the HOA email chain from my inbox like taking out the trash. My phone stayed quiet after that, which was the loudest apology they were capable of. I didn't win because I was louder than the HOA. I won because every time they escalated, I picked up a receipt, and receipts don't care who runs the meeting.